Okay, so in this video we're going to talk about how to style fonts and how to add colors to our HTML document using CSS. Now, first of all, I have written this basic code. Now I want to style the font that I've used. I want this heading to appear a little bit bigger. I want this text to appear a little bit bigger. So how can I do that? How can I style this font? And if I want to use another font, this is the basic font that HTML or any browser uses, but what if I want to use my own font? I want to use any other font that I want to use. How can I do that? So we'll see that in this video, and we'll also see how to add colors and all to our HTML site. Alright, now I've created this stylesheet.css here. Okay, now what I'll do is, first thing I want to do is change the size of this text. I want this paragraph to appear a little bit bigger. It's very small and I cannot see it. So the step to do that is, let's see where this paragraph is. So this paragraph is inside p tag, and also this paragraph is also inside the p tag. So we learned that for styling we need the tag that we want to add changes to. So we'll select the p tag, we'll open up the braces, and here the property that we're going to use is called as it's called font size. Now there are many types and we'll see all of them. We cannot add all of them, we can only use one of them, but right now I'll just show you what all types are there. The first one is called extra small. So you just use an hyphen to connect extra xx and small. Okay, and you'll have semicolon. Let's save it. I can see that our text is changed to extra small. Now the next one we have is, let's just copy paste this so it will save us some time. Next one we have is extra small. Okay, I'll save this. Now it appears a little bit bigger than the previous one. Now the next one we have is just small. Okay, now this is even bigger than the extra small one. Next one we have is, it's called as medium. This is the normal text that we have. Okay, so this was the normal size that we had before, right? Now the next one we have is called as large. Okay, just save this. Now this is the size I want my paragraph text to appear as. Okay, now the next one we have here is extra large. Save this again. Now my text is extra large, and the last one we have here is extra large. Okay, now this is extra large. Now again I'm telling you, you cannot add all of them, you can only decide one of them that you want for your page. Now I'm going to go with large, so I'll delete all of the others. Okay, and I'll save this. Always save to reflect your changes in the browser. Okay, now this is the size I wanted for my paragraph tag. Now font is measured in 3 measuring units. The first one is inches, the second is centimeter, and the third one is pixels. In HTML and CSS, the most used unit is pixels, and if not that, then percentage is used. Okay, now we're going to see 4 types of relative sizing. What are the 4 types of relative sizing that are used for fonts, and then we'll see how to change a font family. Okay, now instead of large, what I can do is, I'll write the percentage that I want this font to be in 20% to be in size. I'll save this. You can see that this is very small. 20% is very small. It decides the percentage according to the width of the page. Okay, according to the width of the page, this percentage is decided. So now let's change it to 50% and let's see what happens. Okay, this is 50%. Let's change it to 70% now. I'll save this. This is still, it's a little bit smaller. So what I'll do is I'll change it to 100%. Let's see what happens. Okay, so this is the normal text size that we have, and if we want anything bigger than this, we can also change that. We can go to 150%. Okay, this is the large size. We can change it to whatever we want. We can even add 200. Let's see what happens when you add 200. You can see that this is the biggest size. So instead of using pixels or the large, very small, we can also use 200 pixels or like that, 200%. Now the next one we have is pixels. The first one we saw was percentage and relative sizing. Now the second one is pixels. So let's use 24 pixels. You can give any value that you like. So this is 24 pixels. You can see pixels is much bigger as compared to percentage. If you use percentage here, 24 pixels will be very small. Okay, now let's reduce it to 20 pixels. I think 20 pixels would be fine. Yeah, so 20 pixels is the size that we want. Okay, let me just write it once again so that you'll understand the difference. So first we use percentage, second we use pixels. Now the third relative sizing unit, it is called as EM. Okay, and what we'll do is 1.5 EM. We'll write 1.5 EM and we'll save it. And let me just remove this one. I'll just remove this one. I'll change this to 150. I'll save it and I'll even remove this one. Let me just show you the difference. Now this is font sizes 150px. You can see that this is the font size 150px. Now notice the change when I write font size 1.5 EM and I'll save it. Do you see any difference? Right, there's no difference at all because 1.5 EM is equal to 150%. Okay, there's the same effect. 1.5 EM and 150% has the same effect. Alright, I'll just add 24 pixels, 20 pixels here, right? Now the next one we have, and the last one relative sizing, is called REM. It is same as EMs, only the difference is between REM and EM. That is the only difference. And REMs were introduced in HTML5 and EM was used in older version of HTML, right? Once I save this, you can see now there's absolutely no changes here. Now the next thing that we'll see is you can see that this heading tag is very bold, but this paragraph tag, it's not bold. And what if I want to convert my paragraph tag to bold? I can do that. There's a property we'll use, it's called font weight, and we'll use, you can see there's a number of options. There's bold, there's bolder, lighter, normal, and there's even values, how much bold you want your text to be. So I'll just keep it to bold and I'll save it. You can see that my whole paragraph is converted to bold now. So this is the advantage of Atom. When you type out the if you type out the property name, let's just type out the property name. It gives you a suggestion already. If you only type font, you can see all the properties that are there. Okay, there's number of properties. If you want to try them all, you can just try them all, but we're going to see specific properties, and you can also see the values. All the options are there. Okay, so this is the advantage of using Atom. Now the next thing that we're going to see is how to change the font family. Now I don't know what font family this is. So what if I want to add one of my own font family? How can I do that? So I'll write font, and inside this I'll choose the font family option, and inside this I'll write Arial. Okay, and one thing that you should always do is, few fonts are very user specific. Now this Arial font, it may be present in Windows, but it would not be present in Macintosh or Linux. So one thing you should always do is you should always add different font formats so that your website is visible and is your website is same to every user that you use. So for Arial, in Macintosh we have Helvetica. If you write Helvetica here, now when someone visits your browser from Mac, so they'll also see the same font. Arial is in Windows, Helvetica is in Mac, and for Linux we have something called as sans serif. Okay, and I'll save this. Now what will happen is, I'll tell you what will not happen if you remove this. I'll just remove this and I'll save this. Now before even adding Arial, you can see that this was the way my text looked. Okay, and after adding Arial font family, and we added Arial. Okay, I'll save it. This was the way our text looked, but only in Windows. What if someone from Mac operated or visited your site? They will not see the same font, they'll see the previous font that we had. So what we did is we wrote Helvetica, so that someone from Mac visits our site, they'll see the same thing, and someone from the Linux visit our site, they'll see the same thing. Okay, so make your always provide extra fonts so that your website is available to all the users and they don't have any problem operating your sites. Okay, now what if you want to use a font that is from Google or from any other site? So you can also do that. We'll see that how to do that in the later part of the videos, but we can do that by adding a link here. Okay, link of where you want your font to come from, and then in the style sheet simply state the name of the font that you want to use. So this was about fonts in HTML. We saw how to adjust size, we saw the types, that is small, extra large and all that. Then we saw the 4 relative sizings. Then we saw how to make our font bolder, and then we saw how to change the font of our paragraph tag. Now the next thing that we're going to see is colors. How to use colors in styling. Now last time we saw how to add color to a paragraph text. We added a heading, a blue color to a heading. Now this time let's add color to our paragraph text. Okay, I'll save this. You can see now that my paragraph is blue. Okay, normally in HTML5 there are 140 colors included. If you want to use your own color, you can also use them by using hex codes. How to find hex codes? You can just Google and see all the hex codes that you want of any color that you like. Okay, there is another way. This is the first way, and when you write this, there are 50 and 140 options that you can use in HTML5. 140 colors are supported in HTML, that is already there. Now what if you want to use colors of your own? So you can do that by using a setting that is called as RGB. Okay, that stands for red, green and blue. This is the basic colors, right? So we'll write RGB, and here, sorry, we'll write it here RGB, and inside the brackets we'll write 256, 0, 0. We'll save it. So this is equivalent to red color. Red color has the highest value. 256 is the highest value. Okay, now if I do 0 here and I do 256 here and I'll save it, it will change to green color because it's red, green and blue, right? This is the basic colors from which all the other colors can be derived. And if I make it 0 and I write 256 here and I'll save it, it will change to blue. And if I give all of these values as 0, it will change to white. You cannot, change to black. Okay, so you can change, you can use whatever value. 256 is the highest value. You can use anything from 0 to 256. So I'll add 120 here, then I'll add 110 here, and then I'll add 125 here, and I'll save this. Now this color will be created. That I don't know this color, but I just wanted to show you guys that you can create your own colors. You can find this RGB values in the internet. You can find the hex codes of the colors that you want on the internet. Now I know one hex code that I'll show you. What you can do is you'll write a hash before the hex code and write 1 2 3 4 F's, and you save it. So this 4 F's, this color indicates white color. This is a hex code. This hash and 4F is hex code for white color. Okay, so that's why our text is not visible. So firstly we saw normal red color. The second one we saw was RGB value, which we had options for. Okay, the next one we saw was hex codes, which you can find on Google very easily. And the last one that we're going to see is called as HLC. It stands for hue, saturation and brightness. Okay, let's try that one also. We write HSL, hue, saturation and brightness, and it has values in percentages. Now this hue picks out colors from the rainbows. Okay, and then you know saturation, and L stands for brightness. Okay, so again we'll give it 120% here, then again we'll add 60% the next one, and again 60% for the next one. Once I save this, you can see that now this color, I'll just remove this one because hex code is most preferred, so the other changes will not be visible. Now this HSL is also displayed here. Okay, when you want to use when you use this hex codes, this is generally used for the older browsers that does not support this RGB or direct color indication or HSL. For new browsers we can use this RGB value, this HSL value, or this red color value. Okay, there's one more that we can use, that is called RGBA. Okay, you can see that is appeared here. And what does A stand for? A stands for transparency. How transparent we want our color to be. Let's save this. Now you can see that our color's transparency has changed. Let's change this to 1 and see what happens. This is the normal color, right? And it goes from 0 to 1. Its value is from 0.1. It will be very faint red. You can see that it is visible, but it's very faint. Okay, so it goes from 0 to 1, so we'll keep it 1 right now. Okay, so these were the 5 types that you can use. Again, remember, hex code is used when you want to use colors for the old browser, and all of these options can be used when you're using new browser. So that was it about fonts and colors and styling. I'll see you guys in the next video.